Please begin.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon everyone. This is Dr. Jyotsna Amin. I welcome you all to PU webinar series by Center for Human Resources Development, Parul University. Today's topic is related to very contemporary point of discussion, that is National Education Policy 2020. We all know that National Education Policy 2020 has been the pioneer work of the current government and all the organizations, and is been talking about certain pertinent points of educational development such as academic bank of credit, value orientation, Indianization, multilingual setup in education. And in order to promote all these things, holistic education is one of the way, I guess. And to throw light on this, we have with us Dr. Shilpa S. Popat, Assistant Professor, School of Education, Central University of Gujarat, with us to enlighten us on the topic more. Dr. Shilpa has 30 papers at national and international seminars to her credit, many workshops, 15 research publications, 3 book chapters, international publications in the form of book and chapters. She is being recipient of Leprosy Survey Mission Award by Government of Gujarat. She has been awarded as Bal Vikas Excellency Award by Shri Satya Sai Seva Organization India in the year 2016. She has been awarded with departmental scholarship during her doctoral work. Her doctoral work is also related to the holistic education. So she is a right person to throw light on this. Dr. Shilpa, I welcome you to Parul University webinar series and request you to take up the session. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam, for giving me this opportunity to speak on the holistic education. Is my audio is not clearly audible?
Yes.
Yeah. It is my privilege to be here as a panelist in this session today, and especially to speak the knowledge which I have about the holistic education when we are talking about the implementation of National Education Policy 2020. Nowadays, this policy, we cannot say it's a new now because it's 2020 and we are in 22 now. Almost we all are very much aware and we have heard about this policy. Still, I will try my level best to give some highlights of this policy and how it has vision to make the education better in our country. Before moving to the policy and its highlights, I would first like to begin with the holistic education concept. The first shloka which I would like to speak up here is Vidya Dadati Vinayam, Vinayat Yati Patratam, Patratvam Dhanamam Propti, Dhanat Dharmam Tata Sukham. The meaning of this shloka is knowledge, which is very important, gives us the discipline. And from this disciplines, we receive the worthiness. From worthiness, one gets wealth. And that from that wealth, the good deeds, and from that, finally, the joy. The meaning of joy here is that is the absolute please, the anandam. And we as an educationist, very well aware about the ultimate goal of education, that is the self-fulfillment, all the self-awareness or self-enlightenment. हम उसको कुछ भी नाम दे सकते हैं. And that is the end goal of education, that we must be aware about our true self, who we are and for what purpose we have come to this world, right? This is what the holistic education means. If I tell about the meaning of holistic education, it speaks about the completeness of an individual, right? This is a very famous sayings or the writing, that is in Education Commission 1964-66. It says that the destiny of India is being shaped in her classroom. It means that the children, those who are coming to us, let it be the school education or higher education, in that the students, those who are coming to us, are future citizens. I think I'm not a person who can delve more on this, because you all are the teachers of higher education. You are very well aware about it. The students, those who are coming to us, they are the future citizens. They are the future entrepreneurs. They are the future job takers. They are the future decision makers, right? So the destiny of our country is shaping in our classroom. So how we have to shape our destiny is very important. And that is why this concept, the holistic education, as being said here in this sloka, stands a very important position in the education system at all levels, from pre-primary to the higher education level. Moving forward, see, when we are saying that the destiny is being shaped by us in our classroom, I think the wholeness of teaching is very important, because unless and until we will not have that holistic idea of teaching, the holistic development of students will be very much in some other viewpoint, right? And that is why here I would like to say about the Gurukul system. We know that how the ancient education system was, and how it has talked about, and how they were teaching. Till date, we are very well aware about the Nalanda and Takshashila as the good university in the field of higher education, right? So when we are talking about Gurukul system, we know that students used to go to the Gurukul system to get education, to attain the knowledge. Along with that knowledge, the Gurukul system was also promoting, right, the physical education, the individual, I mean the development of students, and apart from all, the skill development, the self-dependency of an individual. And apart from all this, the very much important is the spiritual well-being. Without spiritual well-being, I think this system was not focusing on many other films. They were the Gurukul systems, the gurus, the ancient rishis, they were very much interested, and they are very much emphasizing the spiritual upliftment of an individual, right? Then only we can say that the end, the highest aim of education can be achieved. And therefore, the curriculum, teaching learning process, and assessment, all these three needs to be in line with the holism. If there is some lacuna in any one of this, the holistic development will be a question. So this three should be in line with the holism. Now, what exactly it is, the holistic education, right? It is harmonious development. By harmonious development, what do we mean? We mean that the person should be a very good professional in whatever profession he or she may be. At the same time, he or she should be a very good human being, right? And that is why it focuses onto the harmonious development of multiple dimension of human personality, right? It says that we should create a mind which is both scientific and spiritual at the same time. Here, when we are talking about creating a mind with both scientific and spiritual at the same time, I think the great philosophy which comes to my mind as a researcher in this area is Swami Vivekananda. We'll talk to it on later. Then, when we are talking about holism, the holistic education, we can see that the many inputs into a medicine, business, ecology, and many other fields. When we are talking about medicine, nowadays we are also emphasizing on holistic health. What does this holistic health means? We know that the balancing personality, and that is why the Ayurveda, Ayush Mantralaya is also focusing a lot onto a holistic medicine, so that the human personality will be balanced. One of the Western philosophers, that is John Miller, he said three key themes. Sorry, here it's a spelling mistake. The 3 key themes, that is balance. Balance means a balanced personality, inclusiveness. Inclusiveness means even the NEP 2020, the implementation, Sarthak plans, if we see Sarthak 1 and 2, that is the implementation for NEP 2020. It also speaks about the inclusive education. Inclusive means inclusion of all individual into an education system. And the third important theme is, that is connectedness. Connectedness means each and every individual or the student must know the interconnectedness and interdependence of every subject, as well as the environment and society at large. Now, as I told you, when we are talking about we have to create a mind which are scientific and spiritual at the same time. The spiritual Swami Vivekananda came into a mind, right? Swamiji said that the union of science and spirituality alone can bring peace to the mankind. This is the proverb or the quote by Swami Vivekananda. He said that science and spirituality both are 2 sides of the same coin. Just a minute. Hello, madam. Yeah. Ma'am, we'll be taking question at the end.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah. When we are saying that science and spirituality are 2 sides of the same coin, and as I said, see, when we are talking about Swami Vivekananda, the very famous thing about Swamiji was the Chicago Conference. Apart from that, Swami Vivekananda was a great philosopher and a great educationist. Even the definition of education which was given by Swami Vivekananda was, that is, we have to already highlight or enhance the perfection in the man. Perfection means in all the aspects of the human personality. So he also talked about the holistic education in the time. Now, Swami Vivekananda had a very good scientific knowledge, though we do not have any invention and inventories in his name, but he has inspired many Western scientists towards the Vedic knowledge of India, wherein the science and spirituality go hand in hand, right? So here I would like to say one incident about from Swami Vivekananda's life, that is with the Nicholas Tesla. I think we all have heard about the scientist, his inventions, his inventories, because nowadays if we see that 80% of our gadget which we are regularly using has the inventions from the Nicholas Tesla. He has invented AC induction motors, power source, and a generator of high frequency current. Right. So this is, I'm here highlighting only major inventions by Nicholas Tesla. What we are going to talk here about Nicholas Tesla and Swami Vivekananda is, in one of the travel of Swami Vivekananda from America, then he met Nicholas Tesla while traveling in an airplane. So this, I'm talking about somewhere in 1896. This happened somewhere in 1896, February 13. He could meet Nicholas Tesla while he's traveling from America. Then Swamiji started his discussion with Mr. Nicholas Tesla, scientist Nicholas Tesla, and he has talked about how this science and spirituality goes hand in hand. He talked about the 3 elementary concepts. Swami Vivekananda talked about 3 elementary concepts. That is energy, which is prana as per our Vedic literature and the sciences. Pran, then the aksha, that is matter. And the third one was electric sphere, that is kalpa. So Swami Vivekananda has narrated these 3 things, prana, aksha, and kalpa, to Nicholas Tesla, that how these 3 are interconnected as per the Indian Vedic literature, which is available since ages before BC, so many years. And Nicholas Tesla was inspired a lot by the talk of Swami Vivekananda, And then his letter to Vivekananda, he wrote that I am very much inspired by your discussion during our traveling. And I am 100% sure and convinced that yes, the scientific invention without spirituality has no meaning. And that is how he invented, he after that he made lot of discoveries based on the significance of spirituality into any of the inventions. See, this is just an example I'm quoting. In any other field, if we take, let it be management, let it be economics, let it be medicines, we can definitely see the spiritual significance and spiritual input in each and every walks of our life. Then further moving to this, we are very well known about Jamshedji Tata. He's a well-known businessman, and nowadays also the Tata Industries are performing very well under the leadership of Ratan Tata, of course. So we know that Jamshedji Tata has established Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, IISc Bangalore. That is the the idea behind this. He wanted to develop a scientific temper among the Indian citizens to make a new discoveries based on our ancient literature. So Jamshedji Tata was also inspired by Swami Vivekananda, and then he wrote to Swami Vivekananda in 1898 that, I'm just quoting, I trust you remember me as a fellow traveler on your voyage from Japan to Chicago. I very much recall at this moment your views on the growth of ascetic spirits in India. I recall this idea in connection with my scheme for Research Institute of Science for India, which you have doubtless heard or read. This was then, I unquote, sorry, this was then evolved and founded as Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. See, what I want to tell here is, when we are talking about holistic education, I have just taken an example of a science. If I have to perform a single experiment, I know that my cognitive mind is very well involved into the concepts. At the same time, if I have to perform my experiment into the laboratory, all my motor skills, that is psychomotor skills, are very well involved into performing the laboratory experiments or any type of the assignments, whatever I am doing or performing the things. At the same time, when I'm talking about the scientific inventions or the inventory, finally, which comes in our mind is society. Any invention or inventory which we are doing is for the benefit of the mankind in the society. It can be benefited to the environmental scientist or environment science rather, and the technological field is very much involved. So when we are talking about holistic education, it encompasses everything together. Then only the interconnected or the connectedness can be established. Now, see, when we are talking about holistic education, I think we have to remember 3H, which even was taught by Mahatma Gandhi ji. Here, I would like to say something about this 3H. That is the harmony between 3H, that is head, heart, and hand. Again, the domains of Bloom's taxonomy, that is cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. These are the three famous domains. And I, as a researcher, would like to add one more domain when I'm talking about the holistic education, that is spiritual domain. And that is why it is wrote here that knowledge, when skilled, leads to balance, which in turn provides insights about the application of knowledge for the benefit of the society. If my knowledge is not benefited to the society, or maybe it is benefiting the society into a negative aspects, then it has some dangerous sign. And that is why we need to have the head of Shankara, hands of Janaka, and heart of Buddha. इसको जरा आगे देखेंगे. Hands of Shankara means that symbolize the knowledge leading to wisdom. Wisdom means a correct decision-making power. Then the hands of Janaka, which symbolize the knowledge that translated to the skill for the social benefits. And the heart of Buddha, which symbolize that the compassion to balance the head with the hand, because we should have the compassionate heart among all of us. Then only we can go into a positive direction as a teacher, as a scientist, as a student, or as a social entrepreneur. See, this is the same chart on the 3H thing, that is the harmony of head, heart, and hand. If we see here, that is head and the hands, it shows our ability, that is knowledge and skills, correct? Now when we are talking about heart, which is very important, we are talking about nobility. So it is a matter of two important things, that is ability and nobility, right? Ability without nobility is of no use, and that is why we need holistic education. Otherwise, we do have this value education and everything in our curricula. But when we are talking about holistic, it encompasses everything at a time. So holistic education is basically about the ability and nobility. And this is how we need to have our student, which should have the proper balance of all the dimensions of the personality. Here, see, this is something which I would like to emphasize here, because we all are teachers. Analogy of the bicycle. What this analogy means? When I'm talking about analogy of the bicycle, see, here the seat which denotes the student, and two wheels, that is guru and parents, right? So when we are talking about holistic education, I think all the stakeholders of the education systems are involved in it, without which the student will not be able to reach to the perfect destination. Okay, so when bicycle have to move, then all these three, I mean the stakeholder, have to cooperate the movement. Then only the students can move into a desired direction. See, we know that education of each and every individual is begin from home. Home is considered, or the family is considered, as the first socializing and educating agency of an individual, because we learn how to speak, how to walk, how to behave, how to talk, what to eat, how to eat, everything in our family, right? And same way, we also learned by observation the proper behavior and value system in our family, because we all follow the value system of our family. So that is why home, the birthplace of student, is very important, and the parents play a very important role to impart the value into the students. Of course, the educational institution, from the pre-primary to the higher education, the gurus, the teachers are going to do that, but the parents are equally important to impart the value education. And same way, when students come to the education system, the guru, they are like a gardener, which are shaping the sapling into flourishing them to the proper rooted tree, and these roots are all our value system. This is how the analogy between the all the stakeholders of the education system. Now, some of the features, of course, it has been covered somewhere into the discussion, but still I would like to say further about it. That is, we know this proverb from Rigveda, that is Ano Bhadra Pratavo Yantu Vishwataha. The literal translation of this thought into English is, let noble thoughts come to me from all the directions. Similarly, this sayings also says that let the knowledge and noble thoughts come to me from all the directions. This is what the important feature of holistic education, because when we are talking about holism, it is very much complex set of the many things together. We cannot fragment it the parts of it. So we have to see the system as a whole, not into a fragmented part. And that is why into the introduction slide, I said that the curriculum, the teaching learning process, which even encompasses the stakeholders and everything, even the methodology, whatever we are talked about, and the assessment system. This three should go into a line when we are talking about the holism. Then, when we are talking about holistic action of an individual or a student, we have to think of it 4 E's. What are this? The first is efficiency. A children or the student must be efficient enough to take up the educational inputs. Then the effectiveness of our methodology to impart the true education, and the ethics, which plays very important role in everyone's life, and at the end, the environment. When we are talking about environment, the classroom environment, school environment, higher education institution environment, home environment, and of course, our natural environment at the large. And the another important feature is holistic education focuses onto the education which should sustain the sensitivities towards the basic culture and value. Whatever culture we have, in whichever country we belong to, whatever education we have, whatever the culture we have, whatever the values we have from our ancient culture, that has to be preserved by the students in future. That is the another feature of the holistic education. Then it realizing the ultimate and the highest aim of education, that is attainment of moksha as per Indian scriptures. Now, why do we need holistic approach in our teaching? If it will be encompasses in our teaching, naturally the product can come out as a whole individual, right? Why do we need this? When we are talking about the need of holistic education, I think these are some of the points which I have listed. You people can have many more things as per your understanding. Now, the thing is that it is important, first of all, as I said, the 3 domains of Bloom's taxonomy, that is cognitive, affective, psychomotor, and of course, all the levels under the domains. And the important one is the spiritual domain. Now, the first is, it is important for the cognition of the terms, example, concepts, theories, principles, whatever comes into our curriculum, the set curriculum for the subject. Why this is important? Because we know that, sorry. Because we know that nowadays, the world, which is very much demanding, each and every job sector, even the business sector, are very much demanding. And for that, you must have a very good cognitive ability to grasp the concepts. And that is why cognitive development is important, and holistic education takes care of it. Then establishing relation with the other discipline. As I said, if science is there, science is related, very much related, even mathematics, if I take, it is related to the language, it is related to the social sciences, it is related to the environmental education, it is related to the economics, it is related to the government norms and everything. So single subject is related to almost many other disciplines. And therein, we have to give the whole education to the students, and that is why it should not be taught into a compartmental parts, right? When I'm talking about chemistry, when I'm talking about atom, I need to see that how atom is related in each and every aspect of our life. And that is how it has to be taught to the students. Then, development of feeling faculties, that is through inculcation of value. When I'm talking about affective domain of Bloom taxonomy, it takes care of the behavioral aspect and the affect attributes of an individual. And holistic education also takes care of it, because we are talking about ethics, we are talking about the spiritual development, we are talking about values. And that is why the development of feeling faculties, that is affective attributes. Then comes the development of psychomotor skills, because we know that even the national education policy also says that the knowledge and skills, both are very much important for an individual to go ahead into any field in a current scenario or the modern society. For an individual, knowledge and skills both are very much important, and that is why the skill development, let it be motor skills, let it be a communicative skills, let it be a writing skills, it is very important for students, and holistic education of course talks about it. Then establishing relation with the environment, the natural environment. We know that all the panch tattva, 5 basic elements, that is earth, fire, wind, space, and akash, prithvi, vayu, jal, or agni. Right? These are the 5 basic elements. And the human, we, the mankind, nowadays, due to many other means, let it be industrial means, let it be a selfish means, we have exploited our natural nature and natural surrounding to an extent that abhi we have a lot of environmental issues with us. And of course, we want that our future generation should contribute. Even we as an individual nowadays, till from today itself, can contribute for preventing our environment and bringing back to the balance. And that is why each and every subject, let it be language, let it be economics, let it be any of the subject, has a relation with the environment, and that has to be explained to the students by the teacher. Then the development of a life skill. I'm not moving much into a life skills, but the WHO has given the life skills, and that is, there are many skills listed into this. I just named 2 or 3, that is problem solving skill, critical thinking skill, creativity. These are some of the skills which are listed by the WHO, which is very much important for an individual to have that. And the most important is the development of spiritual domain, because we have seen that 3H formula, right? And that is why the development of spirituality in an individual. See, as a teacher, if we cannot develop spirituality, at least we can try from our left side that the students will have some inclination towards spirituality, because sooner or later, every one of us, those who are there as a living being on this earth, has the attainment of moksha as the highest, right? We all are on a path of our spiritual journey. Sooner or later, we have to reach that. So it is up to us that how we can develop this inclination, at least amongst our students. And that is why we need holistic approach in our teaching learning process. See, when I'm talking about all these things, our president, the people's president, Dr. Abdul Kalam, comes in my mind every time. He has given many thoughts and many things about it. I think many of you have read many books of Dr. Kalam. Vision 2020 le lijiye ya fir Transcendental le lijiye, kuch bhi. He has wrote many things about the whole individual, the whole students, and the holistic system of education. Some of the thoughts I have put it here. That is, said that, hello, yeah. He said that, I wonder why some people tend to see science as something which takes man away from the God, right? Because he was of a notion that, so as just like as a Swami Vivekananda, that science and spirituality are goes hand in hand. They are the 2 sides of the same coin. You cannot separate this two. And further, he wrote that the path of science can always went through the heart. For me, science has always been the path to spiritual enrichment and self-realization. What is the self-realization? In Indian scripture, it is called moksha. In other language, it is called self-attainment, self-fulfillment, or whatever. Self-realization. When I, as an individual, can understand who I am, where I have come from, and where I have to go. And that is why Dr. Kalam was of that opinion. He also wrote about the Indian citizens, because as a president, he had a very much concern about India as a country. He wrote that enlightened citizenship has three components, and I'm sure this is very much related to the holistic education, and that is why I have put it all this thing into my presentation. That is education with value system. Three important things. That is education with value system, religion transforming into spiritual force, and creating economic prosperity through development. When we are talking about education without value is of no use, because as I told you, it is ability and nobility. Then religion, whatever religion we belong to, should lead an individual for the transformation into the spiritual force. And whatever development we are talking about, let it be the infrastructural development, let it be the individual development, let it be the economical development, it should lead to the prosperity of the nation. Then one more quote I would like to say here: can we make an education system which will retain the smile on the faces of our children? I think this is $1 million question. Can we have an education system as a teacher which retain the smiles on our children's faces? I think if we realize this, that is the smile, education should not be a burden. You know, when children get up in the morning, they must feel that, yes, I must go to the university. And that enthusiasm, that smile talks about the need, implementation, whatever we say is about holistic education. Because this also talks about the physical development, the emotional development, the intellectual development, the spiritual development. When we're talking about all-round development, then if an individual is interested, then only the smile will be retained on our children's faces, right? The other thought, I'm not moving much into it, but I'm going further. Now, how to do as a teacher, how we can implement this, that is important for us, even for me as a teacher. So some of the point I have listed down here, that is, give your young people a vision of the universe in which all animate and inanimate are interconnected and unified. I think here I will remember one line from Narsi Mehta's poet. He said that in this world, nothing is, dead. Everything is alive, because I can see my God installed even in non-living beings. So what he said, everything is living in this heart. So when we have this vision as a teacher, then only we can transmit this vision to our students, that the universe in which everything, animate and inanimate, are connected to each other and they are unity, because even a stone has a value in this nature. If we can understand that, then only the exploitation of environment can be reduced to an extent, and we can have a balanced human being in the society. Then help students synthesize the learning and discovered the interconnectedness of all the discipline. I think as a teacher, we can develop, or as a faculty, we can develop many exercises for that, for the students, right, wherein they can understand the interconnected and relatedness of each and every individual discipline with each and every one. Then prepare students for life in the 21st century by emphasizing a global perspective and common human interest. Any perspective we take about globally, but we have to have a people in our mind, because society is going to be benefited out of it, and that type of a perspective, that type of a vision we have to think of. Then enable the young to develop a sense of harmony and spirituality, which are needed to construct world peace. Nowadays we see many type of problems into the world, and that can be I must say eradicated at an individual, because we as a citizen of this country and part of this world have to contribute into this mission. Some of the methodology I have listed. Mostly, if we talked about NEP 2020 also, they are focusing into experiential learning, because experiential learning is very much related to the holistic approach, and that is why it is talking about experiential learning, the personalized learning, because cognitive development is also important, constructivist learning where knowledge is being constructed by the students, then the PPT, that is problem, practice and theory. We need not to go vice versa of this, that is theory, practice and problem. We should not do that, but we have to follow the problem, practice and theory approach. Then we have to have a teacher guided and self-guided, that is the student guided learning environment in our class. We should have the cultural sensitive things during our teaching. We also have to think about the multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary subjects. Same time, we have to focus onto the 360-degree evaluation, because as I said, curriculum, teaching, learning, and evaluation must be in line if we want the holistic development. And that is why 360-degree evaluation is very important. See, I have just given one example that is from a pure science subject, that is matter. Right? I have tried my level best to have a chart of it. I will just rotate this. Fine. No problem. See, this is matter. Okay, I'll take up the another chart. Fine, sorry, I'm unable to rotate it right now. But these are some of the segments which I have developed, wherein I think we can see the interconnectedness of each and every discipline. At the same time, all the domains of holistic education, that is the value education, the value inherent in this, the spirituality, inculcation towards spirituality, which is inherent into this particular topic, as well as the interdisciplinary knowledge. Right? So these are some of the example which I have tried my level best, but sorry, unfortunately, I am not able to rotate them. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
No. Right? So these are some of the example I would like to show you, all of you. So this is again matter. Here, I'm going further, make sure. See, this is coal. When we are talking about the definition, I'm just taking this definition of coal, that is fossil fuel and non-renewable sources of energy. So when we are talking about non-renewable sources of energy, I think it has a direct connection with the environment, correct? And when we are talking about fossil fuels, we also can talk about how we can reduce the use of this petroleum and all other products, so that we can even save the environment, we can have the economic balance in the country and everything. Then even we can encompass certain things related to the value education when we are talking about pressure, that if we are under stress, if we are under pressure, how to balance our personality. And therein, I think the value inputs can be given, as well as the spiritual inputs can be given to the students. This is just an example I'm quoting. I think we all as a teacher educator, we all as a faculty into the higher education institution are skillful enough to develop our curriculum and day-to-day classroom teaching into this manner. If we can do that, if we can implement this, I think the holistic education is achieved. Now, moving further into the presentation, when we are talking about experiential learning and all this methodology, the interconnectedness, I think our own Gujarati philosopher, that is Bijubhai Badeka, comes in our mind. The Dakshinamurti institution, which has been set up in the philosophy of Bijubhai Badeka, takes care about it. See, the basic methodology which Bijubhai Badeka has implemented during his time was storytelling. What he was, he is very much related to the pre-primary section. What he taught, that storytelling is such a method wherein you can have the involvement of students to the fullest. Right? So, That is what he would talk. And he said that a child is a complete person. What he said, a child is a complete person, means a student is a complete person who is coming to us, has intellect, has emotions, has mind and understanding. They already have their intellectual ability, they already have their emotional feelings with us as a teacher, with the institute as a their surroundings. They do have the understanding and the mind to apply, right? And has strength and weaknesses. They do have the strength and weaknesses, and has likes and dislikes. What we have to do is, let us understand the emotions of the child. If we can understand the emotion of the students, I think we can definitely focus on their weaknesses with their participation in our teaching and learning process, and which realizes the aim of holistic education. Moving further, see, now I'm moving towards the NEP 2020. Why it is talking about holistic education, I think that has been discussed. You people have got the understanding of it. See, these are the important committee and commissions which we in the recommendation of these commissions we can see in our curriculum, right? That is Tarachan Committee, University Education Commission, Mudaliar Commission, Education Commission, and National Education Policy 6886, POA 1992, NEP 2020, and now POA 2022. Correct? So these are some of the important policies or commissions. Those have a very good recommendation to make the education to the holistic, and we can see the inputs of all of this in our policies as well as in our curriculum system. These are NEP 2020. I'm just moving on to the highlights of it. See, this I have downloaded from the Ministry of Education itself. These are some of the highlights, where we know that universal education, that is access to all new curricular or the pedagogical structure, that is 5+3+3+4, and everything. No hard separation between, see here, this talks about the holism. No hard separations between arts and science, curriculum and extracurricular activity, vocational and academic streams, right? Everything should go with the interconnected manner. Then they also have talked about the language, that is mother tongue as a language, and the important reforms which this policy talks about is PARAK, that is the National Assessment Center. Policy has wrote that the government will set up soon the PARAK as a National Assessment Center, which will be based on, number one, the performance, then the review, analysis of knowledge, and this has been done only and only for the development of holism into the students. What this policy NEP 2020 talks about, that students must be equipped with the 21st century skills, right? And that is why the assessment reforms is also important, because curriculum, teaching, learning methodology, and assessment, this three is very important for us to make any type of a reform into an education system. The another important thing when I'm talking about the NEP 2020 in the field of holistic education is this. When I'm talking about higher education, what the policy has said, the policy envisage a broad-based multidisciplinary holistic education. This says that the interconnectedness of each and every discipline, each and every subject. Rigorous exposure to science, arts, humanities, mathematics, and professional fields, because we would like to have our students to go into the market wherein they can either get the job or they can even become an entrepreneur if they want. And that is why vocational education is very important, and professional fields with a flexible curriculum system, because nowadays we know that this is multiple entry exit system is being implemented, choice based credit system is being implemented, the Swayam courses are also being implemented into the higher education system. It has been mandatory for the students to at least take up 2 Swayam courses during their course, let it be UG or PG. And that is why they are also focusing into this multidisciplinary education to have a better individual. क्योंकि अभी हम किसी भी workforce में जाते हैं, I cannot say that I am a teacher of so and so subject and I know that only. Or if I go to the job place, if I go to the industry, I cannot say that I only know this particular experiment. Other than that, I don't have any other knowledge of the other field. I have to have the multidisciplinary knowledge, and this multiple entry and exit is also flexible curriculum. Then comes the well-round development. See, the policy use the word by holistic education is well-rounded development of an individual who possess critical capacities in the field of science, social science, professional, technical, and vocational education, and at the same time also have the ethics, the soft skills such as communication, discussion, debate, everything, and the very important is the spiritual development of a child. This is what the NEP 2020 also talks about, right? And that is why we have we can see nowadays in higher education institutions the implementation of NEP 2020. These are the highlights, and it is very much available into the ministry website. Now, moving further to my presentation, I think now I am into a concluding part. Another only 5 to 10 minutes I will take. The important contributors, as far as my understanding is concerned into this field, are our rishis and rishikas, because we know that in Vedic era, many rishis, if I name few, have lots and lots of scientific inventions, right? If I begin from the Kannad, Maharshi Kannad, who has discovered the concept of atom, correct? And he is a pioneer of atomic theory. Then the law of gravity by Bhaskaracharya, long back before the Newton, right? Then calculation about the earth, right? Same by the Rishi Bhaskaracharya. Then Acharya Charak, Acharya Charak, a Charak Samhita. Based on that, the Ayurvedic medicine has come up. Ayush Mantralaya is also following this, right? Then we have Acharya Shushrut, who is considered as a father of surgery, right? It has been surgery is invented. As per our knowledge, it is invented recently, but Acharya Shushrut has talked about surgery long back in our history. Then Rishi Kanva, who has talked about the science of wind, right? Then Patanjali, the Yoga Sutra, we are very much aware about it. See, again, when we are talking about Yoga Sutra, it is not only a physical exercise. Yoga also takes care about the mental exercise, that is the spiritual realm, the value education realm, which talks about the complete balance personality, right? Then we also know the Varahamitra Mihira, who is a great astronomer, right? Then Rishi Panini, the father of linguistics. The language was also, and there are many in the list. If we take the name of rishis and rishikas, they are long, right? So there are many rishis who have invented. Why I am focusing on this? Because all this knowledge is there available with us in our ancient India. So it is our humble responsibility as a teacher that we put forward all these ideas towards our students. The well-known Narsi Mehta, then Jhaverchand Meghani as a poet, Kanayalal Munshi, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, who has taught, I think, Banaras Hindu University is established by Malviya ji, and he also has talked about the holistic education of individual. If I take Aurobindo as a philosopher, if I take J. Krishnamurti, and the very famous, the Maharaja Sayaji Rao Gaikwad, who has a contribution in each and every field of knowledge, and the Maharaja Bhagat Singh of Gondal, who also talked about the vocational education and education of the girls, right? So concluding my talk of today by this thing, see, we all know we are aware about the Deller's report, who talks about the 4 pillars of learning. That is learning to know. To know means to know the concept, the facts, and the principles, whichever involved in a curriculum. Learning to do means we have to perform. That is experiential learning. We have to perform and learn, because we know that if I perform something, then my understanding and retention of that knowledge will be longer as compared to only the reading, right? So learning to know, learning to do, learning to live means I have to live as an individual, and learning to be, I have to be. That is the highest aim of education. And that is why if we talk head to head, we get nowhere. But we must go heart to heart as a teacher. If we go heart to heart, then only we can develop the holistic students and we can implement the holistic education. If we have to implement the holistic education, then only the heart to heart is very important. And finally, it is good to bear in our mind the following points, which is very important. To see diversity in unity is demonic. We should not be, diversified. We have to be united at the time. To be in harmony with diversity is human, and to see unity in diversity is divine. And that is the goal of holistic education, and that is how we have to have our day-to-day teaching learning. And here the $1 million question at the end. That is, just imagine how different the world would be if people were guided. People means students were guided in their decisions, not merely by their educational training, but also by the voice from the heart. Means when I take any decision, let it be my educational decision, let it be my personal decision, let it be my policy decision, let it be my decision at the national level, if it should involve the heart component, that is nobility, I think the world will be different. And why is it that people refuse to listen their heart? है ना, कभी कभी हम उसको अनसुना कर देते हैं and we go the way we want. I think we should not do that. If we as a teacher will be in a position to answer this question for our own self, then only we will be able to implement the holistic education and the goal will be realized. And finally, it is we see that government is not doing this, they are not doing this, the curriculum is very much set, the time period is very much stipulated, the examinations are demanding, my profession is demanding, everything is there. I understand, I'm also a part of it, but I believe that it is finally we, the teacher, who can change and make Bharat a Vishwaguru. Thank you very much. Thank you,
It is
madam.
said that a day spent with a wise man, an hour spent with a book, and even 1 hour or 60 minutes spent with a learned personality is worth. The viewers must have experienced the same by listening Dr. Shilpa Popat on holistic education. It was revealed when you were discussing from the heart, core of your heart, that holism is spreaded over your soul. And we could find the amalgamation and proper blend of NEP recommendation and holism going hand in hand and having more scope of inclusion rather. So thank you so much, Dr. Shilpa, for enlightening us on the
Hello. 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 कुछ तो प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है क्या? सब ठीक था, आप सुनो। 1 घंटे का मुझे बोला नहीं सर, मेरा शुरू ही 1:15 को हुआ, अगर मैंने थोड़ा कट शट कर डाला।
I'm extremely sorry for getting disconnected.
हेलो।
Yes, I'm so sorry, Dr. Shilpa. It was disconnected because of internet issue. I
No, no,
would
no
like to
problem.
say thanks to you for providing wonderful insight in the topic on holistic education. I would like to share that there are many good comments from Professor Devraj Goel, many of your other colleagues, and many of your students also, and many of the viewers from PU family also, and they all have appreciated the presentation. Thank you so much, and we wish to continue the same collaboration in future and looking for more deliberation on holistic education. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, just a minute. I would like to say I'm very much fortunate to have my teacher as a coordinator today. Thank you very much, Josna madam, and my pranams to Goel sir. Because of him only, I could speak whatever I could speak today. My humble request to all the faculty members is that please do research on this as a higher education faculty so that we can implement it more and more. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much for inviting me today.
Thank you. Thank you.